All right. Hello, everyone. So, welcome back. Um, I'm sorry I couldn't do a forecast for, well, Thursday night, so for Friday last week. I was gone. I booked myself a nice little cottage, next to a lake with all the good stuff like hot tub and jacuzzi and everything and sauna, sorry. And so yeah, that's why I wasn't able to do a forecast. I was getting some rest, but now I'm back into it, and we're gonna have a good week ahead of us. So, this is gonna be a weekly forecast for the upcoming week. So from tomorrow, Monday, June 8th, all the way to Friday, June 12th. Okay? So let's start by looking at the economic calendar here. As you can see, on Monday and Tuesday, we don't really have, well, we actually don't have anything, which is a little weird, but we don't have anything. Then after that, we have CPI on Friday. Uh, we have the interest rate for the Canadian dollar, which should stay the same. Then Thursday, we have PPI, Euro news, and then on Friday, we have some GBP news. I want to bring your attention to CPI here, okay, for the US dollar. You see, for last month, it was 3.8%. Now we're going to jump to 4.2%. I just want to show you something right here. This is this right here is the well the sorry the inflation rate, okay, for the US dollar. And right now, so in the past like 2 months, we got a massive jump in inflation right here. And then we're probably gonna get another massive jump all the way to like 4.2. And honestly, I think it's gonna be even higher than that, probably 4.5. The forecast is for 4.2, but I think it's gonna go way higher than that. And so we can clearly see that we're heading into some kind of a crisis in terms of inflation. Price have been, well, prices. Inflation has been jumping higher, and yeah, I think we might be in, the 9% towards the end of this year. So that's going to be really interesting to take a look at, to keep an eye on. CPI for Wednesday. So overall, for this week, I would say Monday, Tuesday might be very slow, might be very low volatility, but then after that, from Wednesday all the way till the end of the week, we should have some decent volatility. But for tomorrow and Tuesday, I would say, be careful, be careful. All right, so let's start by looking at the dollar on the weekly time frame. So uh, this is beautiful right here. What happened on the dollar? We just got a sting inside the weekly fair value gap. First candle rejects, second candle expands. So that's beautiful. Now the next target is clearly this high. There is no doubt about that. So we can keep going higher this week on the dollar. Now, Friday we got a huge expansion. Now Monday, since we don't have any news or anything, then we can consolidate and create a daily fair value gap. Okay? So honestly, personally, I am gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to see if we can create a daily fair value gap here on the dollar. Okay. So let's take a look at all the majors. All right. So AU here heading lower towards this weekly fair value gap. That's the next target for sure. Then on the daily, same story here on the daily. We just want to wait for daily fair value gap to get created. So that could potentially be interesting for the rest of the week. We'll see in the individual forecasts. But for tomorrow, this is not interesting for now. Now GU is also heading lower. We have this first target, then we have a further target all the way down here. On the daily time frame, yeah, very similar to all the other ones. I would just wait for a daily fair value gap here. EU, so EU, very similar. Yeah, that's pretty good. It would be just again waiting for a daily fair value gap. So I'm gonna skip over all the majors quickly because it's all the same thing. It's all waiting for daily fair value gap. Except maybe this. Yeah, except maybe USD Canadian. Wow. I can't believe I missed that on Friday. I wasn't looking at the majors. I don't really trade the majors. I like to look at them, but I don't really trade them. But that setup right here, that is really high probability price action. This is just beautiful. Oh yeah, right here there was an entry. That's just beautiful. Anyways, the only one that I would not be waiting for daily fair value up is USD Canadian. Okay. I think we could even just, reach that first target as soon as tomorrow. We'll see. USD CHF, okay, not great, honestly, but we can also create a daily fair value gap. It's possible. So we'll have to wait and see. And then USD JPY, that's that's not too great. Well, first of all, I don't think we're going to retrace to this weekly fair value gap to start with, so that's important to mention. I think that we're gonna first reach this high, and then maybe once we reach that high, then we can have a retracement back into the weekly fair value gap to then reach that other further target. But we'll we'll see when we get there. But for now, I just don't like these three: USD Canadian, USD CHF, and USD JPY. I don't like them. But the other ones, NU, EU, GU, AU, they do look interesting. And the market just opened, I think. Did it? Yeah. NU just opened here. AU as well. And okay. Well, yeah, I would take a look at these four later during the week. The metals, gold. Let's see. Well, definitely heading lower. There's no doubt about that. We had this target right here that we wanted to reach before the end of the week. We did reach it, and we closed under it. So now, to me, that's a strong sign that, gold wants to head towards this low. This is definitely the next target. We're gonna reach that for sure. Daily time frame. Now we've reached one, two, and potentially we can reach a third major low, which is this one right here. So I think price should consolidate tomorrow since there's no news and everything. So again, waiting for a daily fair value gap, just like on the dollar. I think that would be a smart move for gold. So I would wait for a daily fair value gap, and then we'll reassess everything. But overall, yeah, bearish again for the week on gold. Probably the same thing on silver. Yeah, exactly the same thing on silver. So right here. We have this target. Then on the daily, it was a huge expansion on Friday, and then we can just create a daily fair value gap. So let's wait for those daily fair value gaps. Okay. All right. So crude oil. There's something weird, I would say. Something weird going on with crude oil because Thursday and Friday we got very heavy retracements, and honestly, I don't know. I just have a feeling that we're now heading lower on crude oil. I have to admit I was, at a cottage in nature, so I didn't really follow the news during the weekend. I don't know what's happening with Iran and everything, but I don't know, it just seems like we actually want to trade lower here on crude oil, which is surprising. Well, it's not because it's not really surprising because we still have that monthly fair value gap. Remember, I talked about it last week. And so I think we can definitely trade back into this one monthly fair value gap to then have a huge explosion higher. I think that's what's going to happen now. So right now, if I'm being objective, what I see is bearish. Okay, I only see bearish. I don't see any bullish argument in this scenario. Even on the weekly, like you can see, like this is a really strong bearish candle. So yes, we are currently inside a daily fair value gap, but I strongly think that this fair value gap is eventually going to fail, and we're going to head towards this swing low right here. So yeah, we have a couple of 4 hour fair value gaps. Well, we actually have one 4 hour fair value gap that we can continue lower from. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to keep an eye on this for next week. Well, for the upcoming week. And oh yeah, something I wanted to mention as well. If we look at Chevron, for example, Chevron also has a monthly fair value gap that it can retrace into. And by the way, when you look at like, if you want to know where the price of crude oil is going to go, look at some oil stocks like Chevron, for example, or Esso, or all these, oil stocks. I just have a feeling like even on this stock right here, we can see that the bias is clearly bearish. We're heading lower, and we're heading lower towards that monthly fair value gap. And so I think that crude oil can do the exact same thing, trade back inside this monthly fair value gap to then explode higher. Because remember, we still have a lot of volatility right here, from the 2022, uh, well, when Russia invaded Ukraine, and we still have so much volatility up here. I just know for a fact that on the long term, by the end of this year or even maybe next year, uh, we're gonna have oil at 130 a barrel, just like it was back in 2022. But right now, it seems like we're having a little slowdown in the price of oil, which is good. But I think it's just temporary. It's very short term, just for the time that we trade back, we get that fair value inside this fair value gap, and then we can head higher from it. But honestly, for this week, I'm gonna be objective here, and I'm gonna say bearish, bearish for the entire week until we reach that monthly fair value gap. Okay? Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin. I love what I'm seeing right here. This is beautiful. Exactly what I said, exactly what I expected. Um, I'm just so happy. Like, this is the investment opportunity of a lifetime. Uh, if you don't get in on this, then you're just gonna miss out on one of the greatest investment opportunity of the last, like, well, probably of this decade, honestly. So, what I see happening here on Bitcoin, I think, yeah, we could potentially consolidate on the weekly, maybe create a weekly fair value gap. I think that's most likely. Um, the daily right here, not doing much. We could retrace back into this fair value gap, which is also overlapping with fair value area. Um, so yeah, I think we could have higher prices to start the week, but then after that, we're gonna keep going lower. And I'm looking to buy Bitcoin around 50K. So around this area right here. I think we can sweep this low. I think we will sweep this low right here, which is the 2024 low, I think. No, it's not the low of 2020, but anyways, you get what I mean. Um, so yeah, basically just a sweep of this low around 50K, and then it's just a bull run, and like clearly Bitcoin is going to reach 200K. Like this is a crazy investment opportunity right here. Again, not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing for sure. All right, so that's it for Bitcoin overall for the week. I would say bearish. Then let's look at the indices. Oh yeah, so the indices we actually had well, the winning streak is over. We've had 9 weeks in a row. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks in a row, and now we're starting to head lower. And I think this week is going to be the week where the market starts correcting, at least until we reach the previous all-time high, which is a fair value area high. Um, but I think this week is going to happen because we have SpaceX IPO, the biggest IPO in history. It it's gonna destroy the indices. I know it will, because everyone will be forced to buy SpaceX. Even if you don't want to buy SpaceX, you're still gonna be buying it without even knowing, because SpaceX is going to be included in all your ETFs, all your S&P 500 indexes. Like, it's going to be there no matter what, and I think that's going to make the entire market crash. Like SpaceX is gonna double slash triple on its first day, that's for sure. So I'm also getting in on the IPO. I'm gonna buy SpaceX on Friday. So that's gonna double, triple, in the first days, but it's gonna make the rest of the market crash because all the billions and billions of dollars that are currently into AI are going to transit into SpaceX, and so that's going to crash all the other stocks like Microsoft, Nvidia, um, all the other stocks are just going to massively crash, and I think we're going to see it on the indices. And so, yeah, I think a correction is clearly going to happen. Um, Correction of, yeah, about 7% here on Nasdaq minimum. That's a minimum, by the way. 7% on Nasdaq, and then uh, about 4% on the S&P. But I do think that, you know, I strongly believe that we're going to reach all the way down here to this low. That we might want to sweep that low, and then the bull run is going to start again. Okay, so that's it for the indices. Very important to keep an eye on this week because I think it's going to move a lot and in the wrong direction as well. Okay, let's take a look at the crosses weekly. Canadian dollar JPY. No, that's a consolidation. CHF JPY. Well, not great. GBP JPY. Not great. Euro JPY. Yeah, they're all pretty ugly to be honest. Australian dollar JPY. Yeah, I mean that's okay, but their the targets are very far to the left, but I would say this is the next target on the monthly time frame. That's still pretty far. It's going to be a couple months until we reach that. Yeah, I mean, Australian dollar JPY could be interesting throughout the week. I'll put a flag on it. If we can create this daily fair value gap, then I can see price going to this low for sure. And this is a sweep. All right, and New Zealand dollar JPY, same thing. Same thing here. If we can create that daily fair value gap, then I'll take a look at it. Australian dollar CHF. Do we have a monthly fair value gap here? No. We're clearly heading lower, but towards what? That's the question. And, well, I guess it would be all these swing lows here, but no, I don't like it. I'm just trying to force an idea right now, and that's usually not good. So, no. Canadian dollar CHF. Nope. Euro CHF. Um, mm, I don't like it. GBP CHF. No. New Zealand. Okay. All the CHF pairs are bad, to be honest. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, that potentially, I remember it was on the interest list last week. So what what's going on here? We were really close to reaching this high, but then price started to reverse. We have a monthly fair value gap all the way down here, which I think it's not really likely that we retrace back into it, honestly. We have this fair value area that we can continue higher from. And then on the weekly time frame, we also have a weekly fair value gap that we can continue higher from. So it's really about reacting. We can either, go higher from the weekly fair value gap from the fair value area, or we go all the way back down to the monthly fair value gap to then continue higher. So it's really going to be about reacting and monitoring. Euro Canadian, yeah, it does seem like Euro Canadian wants to retrace back into this monthly fair value gap, but that's still really far though. And then yeah, that's not too great. No, don't like this. GBP Canadian, that's a massive consolidation. No. And then New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay, we have an immediate rebalance here on the weekly. Okay, that's actually not too bad. Let's put it on the interest list. If we can create a daily fair value gap right here, then I wouldn't mind taking a look at this. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. All right, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Again, yeah, same thing here. We have an immediate rebalance from the monthly fair value gap, and now we can definitely head higher. Um, so the next target would be this high, and then after that, well, do we have? It's hard to find another target here, but overall, short term, I think this is really interesting. This can be removed. So we have this fair value gap and this fair value gap. I think this fair value gap should push price higher. The first one, basically. Um, so let's put an alert on this. I think this looks really interesting. I love we have context within context, and that makes it really high probability here to continue higher. So yeah, I do like this. Euro, New Zealand dollar. So we have a very aggressive sweep of these lows right here. It's a very aggressive sweep. It's an immediate rebalance, basically. And we can head higher for sure. We have this as a first target. And then on the daily, we have this daily fair value gap that we could retrace into. It's possible. But we could also create a second daily fair value gap up here. So let's wait and see. But this is also interesting in my opinion. And then GBP New Zealand dollar is probably the exact same thing. It's not the exact same thing though. That's the problem. Is it doesn't come off a sweep. We don't sweep this low. So that honestly, if I'm gonna trade a New Zealand dollar pair, it's gonna be Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, or Euro, New Zealand dollar, but not GBP, just because we didn't sweep these lows. Okay, and then Euro, Australian dollar. Yeah, that's been going lower. Mm, yeah, I don't really like this. It's not too clear. And then GBP, Australian dollar is the same thing. Yeah. Okay, well, we already have a like what six on the interest list for the crosses. I think that's enough for the entire week. So we'll keep taking a look at them every single day in the daily forecast. And if there's an opportunity there, well, we'll see it. Okay? But these are the six most interesting crosses in my opinion. So overall, for this week, very important. Um, food oil. Let's see what it does. Does it want to trade back into the monthly fair value gap or not? That's really important to figure out. So that's one thing. Then it's the stock market. The stock market should be crashing. It should. Like we've had this huge rally, which is backed up by nothing. It's just backed up by debt and overspending and overinvesting in AI. Uh, the only reason we got this entire rally for the past 9 weeks is earnings, okay? Because it was earnings season. Now, earnings season is over, and people are starting to realize, okay, all these companies are way too overvalued. The stock market is way too overvalued. We need a correction. It's 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 like it has to happen. It has to happen. Like there's no other choice. Okay. So, and especially with, I talked about the SpaceX IPO, like this is gonna crash the market. I can tell you. Like if I'm wrong, I don't know what I don't know what I'm gonna do, but if I'm wrong, um, yeah, like please like throw tomatoes at me because um I don't think I can be wrong about this. Like the SpaceX IPO is just so massive that all the money is going to transit into SpaceX, and then all the other stocks are just going to crash, and it's going to be bad. I'm telling you. Okay. So if you guys want, please let me know. But I could be doing a stock forecast. Okay. On this channel, I could be doing a stock forecast. I could share how I manage my wallet, considering that there could be a crash coming this week. And so, yeah, just let me know if you guys are interested. I could do a stock forecast. All right. So, let's just recap everything. Dollar this week higher than the metals lower, so bearish for the week. Crude oil, let's be objective, bearish as well. Bitcoin bearish as well. I think it's going to keep going lower. Um, the indices bearish as well, and that's pretty much it. So we have a lot of bearish. Everything is bearish for this week. So it's really not a good time to be buying into the market, I believe. Uh, it's time to, sell, in my opinion. It's time to sell all the assets that you have, even if it's metals, Bitcoin or whatever. Well, actually, if you hold Bitcoin right now, you're in trouble. You're probably in the red, but yeah, I think it's just a time where you should be holding, or you should be staying on the sidelines. And then once we reach the bottom, then it's time to buy, 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 buy. Okay? Really important. All right, so that's it for the weekly forecast. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow in the daily forecast for Tuesday. Thank you.